Welcome to A Tale of. My name is Shannon Chance, and I'll be your host and storyteller. I'm an American grad student currently working on my master's degree at UCL. Studying abroad in the UK has been a long-time goal of mine, but with COVID, remote work, and visas, it took a few years to get here. So you can imagine my excitement when I finally arrived in London this past fall. But despite all of the prep and excitement, I still found myself struggling with the cultural differences between California and London. It seemed to me that everyone in the UK was unhappy. When I first met someone and mentioned that I was from California, their reaction was typically, "Oh wow, why on earth would you move here?" A cheeky quip very quick to disparage the English weather. But after months of being asked, it made me question why I dreamt of living here. The sun setting at 3 p.m., the dreary weather, and the regular negativity became constant.
I am fed up of this country.
It's honestly a joke.
I paid £6 for this coffee.
It's so expensive.
Trains never work.
Potholes everywhere.
I'm sick of it.
It seemed that no matter what the topic of conversation, my British classmates could find something to complain about. It felt distinctly different from my Californian upbringing, where the response to "how are you" was always good rather than fine, and small talk was reserved for pleasantries rather than complaints. I began to wonder, was everyone living in this city depressed? Or were all Americans just on SSRIs? What was it about the British culture that was impacting me so much? I turned to my British classmates to better understand this Britishness that I was so unaccustomed to. Great. Okay, first, can you tell me your name and what area of London you're from?
My name is Amal, and I'm originally from Ilford, East London.
My name is Lola and I'm from Islington.
My name is Rory Luxton and I'm from Streatham in South London.
Hi, my name's Karen Ornadell. I was born in North London but grew up in East London until I was about 10.
I asked them about this moaning culture to see what they thought about it and if it impacted them the same way that it did me.
It's the classic, weather thing. It's more about the weather than anything else, or it's about people standing on the tube and taking up your personal space.
It's a way of bonding with people here. Like, we're both tired, isn't that something we have in common? How nice. Like, we can connect over that. Or like, oh God, wasn't last night's episode of whatever so rubbish? Yeah, great. And you have a real good chat about it being rubbish.
Generally, a moan can just be like a happy moan.
Can you describe a happy moan?
Oh God. Having a common thing to complain about can be fun, right? Mm-hmm. And maybe that is a bit of a British thing.
But I think also that sense of moaning is like for people to have something to connect over.
Yeah.
Which I also don't think is always underpinned in like negativity. I think it's just to be like, oh, have you seen the weather today? It's small talk, which even if people hate small talk, it's people reaching out for connection.
Yeah.
Which I think is still something.
It doesn't even occur to me that if I'm saying something negative that it gets perceived as negative. Like, that's not even a thing, because everybody does it. On reflection, that's kind of crazy, but it's just so normal.
While the whinging culture is confirmed by all my classmates, it's also clear that it doesn't have a negative connotation to them. I had been trying to understand what was impacting my experience so distinctly in the fall. I thought that it was the incessant complaining that was bothering me. But through these interviews, it became clear that that wasn't the whole story. So I began sharing more of my experiences with my classmates. At home, when I would, just speak and talk and interact with people, and I'm generally a very chatty, cheerful, bubbly person. At home, that's just part of my personality. But when I moved here, that started becoming attributed to my Americanness and me being other, as if that was very un-British of me.
I do get it. It's a sense of having those stereotypical aspects and characteristics of your identity kind of thrust upon you. Yeah. Like you said, you are really, really bubbly. That's just who you are. It doesn't have to do with your country of origin.
Yeah. It wasn't the complaining that I was struggling with. It was my national identity being placed upon me. In my attempt to understand Britishness and my place in British society, I was asking my classmates to do the same thing that was being done to me. I was trying to put their national identity onto them, asking them to make sweeping generalizations about London, and when they were resistant to do that, I realized what I was doing. Was there sort of one kind of cohesive London demeanor?
No, it's very different because it's such a multicultural place. Yeah. And even, as I say, within North London, within a borough, there is such almost like over the tracks kind of difference between people who are living in the council flats on one side of the road compared to the other. So it's incredibly different. And as I say, I code switch. Yeah.
Sort of difficult to summarize. Within these interviews, I discovered what I already knew reflected back to me. Of course you can't reduce a person to the country or city that they're from. That's not the whole story, and it's not helpful in making connections. But talking about it was. Then that sort of made me go and turn around and be like, well, why is that so not British? You know, why is that so American? Why is that so different?
Yeah, and I think it probably just because people maybe feel like they don't want to take up too much space in a room for whatever socio-psychological reason that might be. Maybe that is a bit of a British thing. But it's great, Shannon.
Be obnoxiously loud. I had already begun to understand this for myself, but it was a lovely experience having that reflected back to me by my classmates. Britishness can be a moan with coworkers, a pint, or a good cup of tea, but it's also much more than that. Just like being American can mean an overly friendly, loud person and maybe some questionable governmental decisions, but it's also much more than that to be an American. To my classmates and friends, I thank you in your candor and in challenging me on what it means to be myself living so far away from home, for allowing me to open up and have these conversations about how I was navigating the world. And for my fellow Americans living abroad, I see you, I feel you, and you're not alone. But know that you were never actually alone. You can be yourself and still have a place here. Drink some tea, be loud, but maybe just watch your volume a bit on the tube. This has been a tale of an extremely American girl abroad.